Okay, guys, real quick, I forgot to put this at the start of the video itself. I tried to voice this video myself, but I can't right now without disturbing the other house occupants, so I'm going to let Melody from the Torum gang do it for me. She's really cool. Okay, take it away.
Reverse 1999. What a legendary game. The story, the art style, the music, everything about this game is absolutely beautiful. It's honestly amazing what they accomplished with this game, yet for some reason, it's still relatively unknown. And I'm not really sure why. And you guys know me. Gacha games have a bit of a rocky history with me, ever since Genshin Impact crashed and burned in winter of 2024. And after that fiery train wreck, my opinion of gacha games in general was seriously soured. But throughout it all, one particular gacha game has managed to stay at the top of the mountain ever since it first launched. That game being Reverse 1999. Everything from the story, to the characters, to the art style and the music in this game, it's all so beautiful. I've never seen a gacha game do what this game does, and be successful at everything it tried to do. It makes my soul smile to see such a beautifully crafted game come together and be as amazing as this one. And people seem to like it when I talk about peak games on this channel, so now that I've actually beaten this game, and after covering its most peak crossover event ever during the month of August, it's time to dive into this game headfirst. It's time to tell the story of what Reverse 1999 means to me, and why I think it's the pinnacle of the gacha genre. And I do understand that the gacha genre in general has a lot of critics and haters out there. Some are just poor schmoes down on their luck who are just biased against these games in general. Others, well, they're just people with bad attitudes in general. And trust me, I know all about people with bad attitudes. I'm practically the authority on the subject, and I know how bad they can be when they see something they don't like. So if you're one of those who aren't into gacha games in general, or just have a personal vendetta against this game, now's the time to click away. But for those of you who are curious and wish to stay, let's get into it. This is an honest review of Reverse 1999. The story. Oh boy, how do I even talk about this game's story without spoiling it? This is definitely one of those games that benefits greatly from a totally blind playthrough, but I'll talk about the few story bits I can without spoiling it. You play as Vertin, a young woman who's known as the Timekeeper. She records the coming and passing of eras, and is the only person who's immune to the storm. The storm is a supernatural phenomenon of unknown origin. Speculated to mark the end of eras, its arrival dissolved time. What should have been the present became the past. What was once the future became the present. Basically, it's meddled with time greatly. Vertin works for the St. Pavlov Foundation, a massive organization that reaches all across the world who manage a race of people known as arcanists, which is pretty much this world's version of powerful magic users, like wizards in the Harry Potter series. And I'm willing to bet it was designed that way on purpose. The St. Pavlov Foundation is looking to create peace among ordinary humans and arcanists, even though ordinary humans are not immune to the storm in the same way arcanists are, and may be lost to time forever when the storm eventually arrives. But one group doesn't quite see it that way. The Manus Vindicti is a violent, deadly terrorist and extremist organization who are seeking the total eradication of humankind, viewing arcanists as the superior race, and wanting to snuff ordinary people out forever by weaponizing the storm, out of revenge for the fact that arcanists have long been marginalized, hunted, and treated as inferior by ordinary humans. The Manus Vindicti hold a deep grudge against humans and anyone of mixed lineage. Clearly, someone never heard of the famous saying, "Make peace, not war." They've recently grown at an alarming rate, accelerating the arrival of the storm wherever they go, and being a general thorn in the side of the St. Pavlin Foundation. And so it falls to Vertine and her arcanist companions, including her personal assistant Sonetto, to travel through the eras, defeat the Manus Vindicti, and find a way to save humanity from being reversed in time until they're wiped out forever. And that's basically the story of Reverse 1999. If it sounded like I was skipping out on a few things or were leaving some things vague and unclear, I'm sorry, but that's really as deep as I can get without getting into spoiler territory. The story of this game is easily one of its strongest suits, throwing curveball after curveball at you out of nowhere, and always finding time to introduce some witty dialogue between the characters. It's impossible for me to dive any deeper into the story without spoiling it. And really, if I were to sit here and talk about the story in depth, we'll literally be here for an hour. So all I can really say is to just play the game yourself and experience it yourself. I personally think the story benefits immensely from a totally blind playthrough anyway. Just be advised that a lot of these cutscenes tend to run pretty long. In some cases, as long as a Metal Gear Solid game. So make sure to have a bag of popcorn handy if you're going to watch the entire story without skipping anything. If Hideo Kojima says his body is 70% movie, this game is 70% movie. And I'll be honest, it can get pretty draining to sit through it all in just a handful of sessions. So this is one of those cases where the game's core design as a gacha game actually helps the story out immensely by limiting how much of it you're taking in per play session. And speaking of the core design, the gameplay. The game may be 70% movie, but there is another 30% we need to talk about. So let's go ahead and talk about it. This being a gacha game, you have limited energy per day to do things like progress the story, gather resources for character development, and the like. Your energy limit rises as your timekeeper's level rises, and there are items to quickly replenish it, which you do get on a regular basis from daily tasks, from events, and from this roaring month thing you can buy. When you're not progressing the main story, you're spending time leveling up your characters, their resonance, and their euphoria in the case of older characters, along with these equipable psi cubes that give them extra stats and special effects, like healing the party if you use a buff that affects everybody, or raising a specific damage type. There's actually a lot of interesting combinations of characters and psi cubes you can try, each with different effects. However, much like games like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, there is a predefined limit to how high you can raise the characters' levels before they cap out. That's when you have to do what's called Insight to reset their level to 1 and raise their maximum level. The grind to fully level a character up can take a long time if you go into it unprepared. But thankfully, it's pretty easy to get materials you need, and lower tier materials can be crafted into higher tier ones at will, so thank God for that. Now I have to talk about the elephant in the room. Characters who are of 6-star rarity and 5-star rarity can undergo the Insight process 3 times, with the final Insight raising their maximum level to 60. However, characters of 4-star rarity or lower can only undergo Insight twice, with their level cap maxing out at 50. That means that over time, 4-star characters or lower will eventually fall off entirely when they're too weak to fight enemies in the late game. Imagine if Genshin Impact locked 4-star characters out of the last 2 ascensions to raise their maximum level. It's a pretty severe handicap, and it will ultimately turn you off from using any 4-star or lower characters, knowing that eventually you'll need to replace them with 5-star or 6-star characters for endgame content. Thankfully, this game is very generous with the amount of gacha pulls it gives you, so forming a competent combat party of 5-star and 6-star characters shouldn't be too difficult. And the reason why it shouldn't be too difficult to get a full party of 5-star and 6-star characters is this game showers you with resources on a near daily basis. Like, oh my god, I've only spent a grand total of $40 on this game, and just look how many 5-star and 6-star characters I have on my account. And 2/3 of them aren't even leveled up. If you're diligent about doing your daily and weekly tasks in this game, as well as doing the events, you'll have more characters than you know what to do with before you're even halfway through the main story. And because this game has features like fast forward speed for combat, an auto battle feature, and a special replay feature for battles you already won, like resource collection battles for instance, rounding up resources to level up the characters you like shouldn't take you long. This is one of those gacha games where you can spend like 20 minutes on it per day, tops, and make sufficient progress. It's not like Genshin Impact, where it basically demands you be glued to your computer or phone screen for over an hour. Every single day, just to get anywhere. And hey, as someone who wants to be more active with his personal life, you won't hear me complain about that. Side activities have been introduced, such as the wilderness allowing you to build your own little world inside of the suitcase, complete with an extra special creature rehabilitation center, which basically serves as a place for players to breed and train these little black puffball creatures called critters, to work in various facilities, producing resources and the like for other characters. This sort of feature isn't everybody's cup of tea, I realize, but thankfully the Creature Rehabilitation Center can be easily and safely ignored. You only really need to build up the wilderness if you want to raise the bond level of your characters up faster, which will grant you with bonus clear drops at certain milestones. Clear drops are your primary way of buying pulls for the gacha, outside of spending real money. And there's a lot of ways to get clear drops. The main story's hard mode, events, daily and weekly tasks, and several other methods I'm not remembering right now. Again, this game showers you with these things for almost everything you do. Genshin Impact should be taking notes right about now. Speaking of events, this game has a lot of them to do, all of which rotate around on a regular basis. Some make it easier to get various resources, some let you obtain special characters that aren't always available, and some exist purely for the sake of having fun. So, if you're down for a distraction from the main story, I think you'll find something here to enjoy. Just make sure to be careful of any event that includes a mains bulletin section. These super bosses are often extremely difficult, demanding the right strategy, the right party, and the right amount of luck to get all the rewards. I'd honestly hold off on these until the end game if I were you. Trust me, you'll save yourself a lot of headaches in the long run. And speaking of the combat, it's pretty easy and straightforward to understand. You click cards to use the character's abilities, known as incantations. You can drag them around to merge matching cards together for greater effect, and the game operates in a turn-based fashion. This gives you plenty of time to strategize and form a game plan between turns to maximize efficiency. Do you have everyone buff up one character and let them go on the offensive? Or do you have Sonetto use a rank 2 incantation on this one enemy to disarm them, preventing them from attacking this round, while everyone else gangs up on the guy with the bigger health bar? It can get a little annoying if you don't get the exact cards you need when you really need them, but this is nothing new to anyone who's played a game that uses RNG, and it's less likely you'll get hopelessly screwed over by a bad card draw. Just make sure everyone is healthy and you're dealing consistent damage, and you should be fine. So the game plays like a dream, with only very minor hiccups here and there, but how does the game look and sound? The presentation. Holy cow, this game's presentation is easily some of the best you will ever see in a gacha game. Maybe in a game in general. Just look at these visuals. The characters are all beautifully detailed. The backgrounds for when you're fighting enemies all look like paintings taken straight from the Louvre Museum. And the music, the majority of it is very pleasant to the ears, all beautifully composed by the talented Taro Umebayashi, Adam Gubman, and Bonzi, the latter two of which actually composed the soundtrack for the game Arknights. You wouldn't think a gacha game that focuses on combat so heavily would be able to blend such beautiful visuals with such calming and beautiful music so perfectly. But what these visual designers and music composers accomplished here is nothing short of fantastic. And the fact the game is fully voiced by an all-star cast of amazing voice actors really helps to pull you into the story. I'm not the biggest art fan or music fan in the world. In fact, I'd say my tastes are pretty sporadic and pedestrian, so when I'm complimenting this game for a job well done on delivering some of the best visuals and audio design I've seen in a video game, you know these guys did something right. There honestly isn't much more to talk about here. I don't remember seeing any audio or video glitches during the game, so it's put together pretty well too. That's more than I can say for some of the games I've played over the years. Wizard 101, I'm looking right at you. The conclusion. Damn, it's very rare that a game manages to hit the nail on the head perfectly in every aspect it tried to do, but Reverse 1999 is definitely one of those games that pulled it off flawlessly. This is not just another gacha game to me. This game was super ambitious, reached for the stars, and it paid off in spades. What Blue Poach made here is a game that delivers on the gameplay, the visuals, the music, the voice acting, the story. Hell, everything I look for in a good game. And on top of all of that, it's a gacha game that manages to be fair in terms of its actual gacha mechanic. I've only paid a grand total of $40 for this game, and I don't regret a single penny spent because this game gave me so much free stuff. It felt the least I could do for giving me one of the most memorable gaming experiences I will ever have. The only knock against the game I'd have are the fact 4-star rarity characters tend to fall off towards the end of the game. But you should have plenty of higher rarity characters to use by then, so that issue isn't too bad. The only other thing I'd have to bring up against the game is that the cutscenes can run rather long. Again, only rivaled by the Metal Gear Solid series. But you can easily skip the story on repeat playthroughs or even on your first time through the game if you just want to get on with the gameplay. And you can always rewatch the cutscenes later whenever you like. I personally can't understand why this isn't a feature in more story-focused games like Conker's Bad Fur Day, to let you skip the story on the first playthrough. And I can understand why it's a common criticism against these heavily story-focused games. But I'm the type of player who will sit through the hour-long cutscenes if they interest me, then skip them on repeat playthroughs. So take that with a grain of salt. Really, the more I think about it, the clearer it becomes. Reverse 1999 is the pinnacle of the gacha game genre. Plain and simple. With a rich story, a steady gameplay loop that doesn't eat into your time the way other gacha games do on a daily basis, and some of the best visuals and music I've ever experienced, this is a game I think anybody can pick up and play and have a good time with, whether they're fans of gacha games or not. And if you can, definitely give this game a try. It can be a little slow at the start, but once it really gets going, you won't want to put it down. It's an amazing game that deserves all the praise it gets, and that's saying a hell of a lot for a gacha game. Nowadays, you can find Reverse 1999 pretty easily on Google Play, the iPhone App Store, or on PC. And given that it doesn't try to cram a vast 3D world into a tiny device that can't handle a world the size of World of Warcraft, it shouldn't crack your hard drive in two to install and play it. So I say, go for it. You got nothing to lose but maybe a few hours of your time, tops. It's a piece of art that delivers on what a good mobile game should be. What more can you ask for? Probably won't stop the Genshin Impact fanboys from raising hell in the comments section. Well, damn it. That didn't take long. Hell, if Genshin Impact thinks they can judge me for dunking on their mid-ass game, I can judge you guys on how you just killed my screen. Oh well, if you're still unsure about Reverse 1999, just go play it. Again, you've nothing to lose but maybe a few hours of your time. But I, on the other hand, are getting ready for the next big series on the channel, which you guys should already know, is going to be whatever game won that poll I put up a few days ago. But before then, I have some real-life matters I need to attend to so I can have a comfortable, peaceful life when I get out of here. I know. You guys are all worried sick about me. I get it. I just need a little time to get matters in my personal life sorted out. And maybe find the time to do more videos with the Torum gang in the meantime. But we'll have to see. I've got a lot of videos planned for the autumn season of 2025, so we'll see what gets on the channel first. So, until then, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys later. Now where the hell is that damn flashlight?